Coaches Direct presents Legends of the Game. Learn football fundamentals from the top college coaches in the country. Frank Beamer, Bobby Bowden, John Cooper, Frank Solich, Bob Toledo, Joe Paterno, Boyd Epley, Mac Brown, Philip Fulmer, and Tom Osborne. Nebraska. When you hear that name, you think college football greatness. For more than 35 years, Nebraska has been a college football powerhouse. Bob Devaney ushered Nebraska into the upper echelon of the nation's elite programs back in 1962. After winning national championships in 1970 and 71, Devaney turned the program over to Tom Osborne, who for the next 25 years guided the Huskers to 255 victories. Osborne's head coaching career culminated with national championships in 1994, 95, and 97. And then it was his turn to turn over the reins to Frank Solich. Just as Osborne was groomed by Devaney to be the head coach, Solich was Osborne's heir apparent for several reasons. He served on Osborne's staff for 19 years, the last 7 of which Solich was the assistant head coach. Frank Solich's roots certainly run deep with the Nebraska program. He was part of Bob Devaney's first recruiting class and became a standout fullback for the Huskers in the mid-60s. After spending 13 years as a Nebraska high school coach, Solich joined the Husker staff in 1979 as the head freshman coach. 4 years later, Solich became the running backs coach, a position he held for 15 years before becoming the head coach at Nebraska in 1998. Nebraska has long been known for having an outstanding running attack, and the statistics certainly bear that out. In 9 of Solich's 15 seasons as running backs coach, the Huskers led the nation in rushing. Solich coached 13 backs who rushed for more than 1,000 yards in a season, including the 1983 Heisman Trophy winner, Mike Rozier. Solich also coached 14 running backs who went on to careers in the NFL. Nebraska running backs have succeeded by developing the same work ethic that made Solich a standout fullback. Despite weighing less than 160 pounds, Solich was an all-Big 8 fullback and co-captain for the Huskers' 1965 team. He held the NU single-game rushing record for 10 years and still holds the Orange Bowl record for return yards with 166 in 1966. Over the next hour, Frank Solich will teach you the fundamentals and secrets of the Nebraska running game. The drills on this tape are the same ones the Huskers have been using for years, and they have helped Nebraska establish the preeminent rushing attack in the country. Of course, the real secret to Nebraska's success lies in a strong work ethic, as well as coaches and players who are dedicated to excellence.
Hi, I'm Frank Solich, the head football coach at the University of Nebraska. It is certainly a privilege and an honor for me to be part of the Legends of the Game football series that is being produced. As I look at the University of Nebraska, I see a school that's tremendously rich in tradition. That tradition really started back when Bob Devaney showed up in 1962. Bob was able to win 100 games in 10 years, win 2 national championships. The tradition continued when Tom Osborne took over for Bob. In 25 years, Tom was able to win more games than anyone has been able to do in the history of college football. So without question, Nebraska has a tremendously rich tradition in the sport of football. We've also had a very rich tradition in producing academic All-Americans, which is something that we lead the country in, and we're very proud to have been able to do it on the field and off the field in terms of our football program. As I look at all that tradition also carries over to each position on our football field, and certainly the running back position is one that is very rich in tradition. We have players that have just been tremendous. We've had a Heisman Trophy winner. We've had All-American players, several conference players. I've had the privilege to coach 14 players who have gone on to pro careers. One of them, as a matter of fact, is in the coaching ranks as far as the pros are concerned. He's a running back coach with the San Francisco 49ers, Tom Rathman. So it's a really proud tradition that we have here in a number of ways. Our philosophy on running back drills is to not have an extensive amount of drills, but to make sure that the drills that we do have get a lot of repetition. With repetition in practice, you then see the carryover value of that drill in a football game. So let's go on out to the field and go through some of the drills we use here at the University of Nebraska. Okay, we're all set to take you through a number of drills that we use here at the University of Nebraska with our running backs. And in order to take you through those drills, we have several players here that I'd like to introduce to you that have been a major part of our program and what we've got done over the years. The first guy is Joe Makovica, who's been a fullback in our system, and Joe is just getting out of school and now is a member of the Arizona Cardinals professional football team. Had a great career here at Nebraska, of course, as a fullback for us, and not only was excellent on the field, but off the field as well. Two-time academic All-American, has $23,000 in scholarship postgraduate money available to him once he goes on to postgraduate school. So certainly a great career. Corey Schlesinger. Corey has also been a guy that's a fullback in our system, was a great fullback for us in terms of both blocking and running. Corey right now is a member of the Detroit Lions. He's gone into his 5th year as a fullback for the Detroit Lions. Brian Carpenter. Brian is also a guy that played fullback for us. Brian probably played at a little bit undersized compared to the first two guys I introduced to you. Those guys played at around 230 to 240. Brian played at fullback for us at 205 pounds, but did a tremendous job. And so I think where Brian comes into play and what he accomplished at the fullback spot is that he was a great technician, had excellent acceleration, explosiveness, and he was able to combine all of that in order to get it all done as a blocker and a runner for us as a fullback. Brian Washington, who's going to help us. Brian is back here and really plans on becoming a coach. Brian is just finishing up with 9 years of professional football as a defensive back, had a great career here at the University of Nebraska. So I appreciate these young men helping out. I think you'll enjoy them going through some of these drills. Okay, the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is ball technique, because it really makes no difference how great a running back you are. If you don't take excellent care of the football, then your team has problems. And so we really drill good ball technique with our running backs and really word it throughout practice for them to remember to take great care of the football. There are really two positions that we asked our backs to carry it in. One would be really a tuck position where you see Brian has a finger over the point of the ball, his back elbow is ready to pin the back point of the ball, and it's really in good position right here. If he's out in the open field and he's ready to try to beat people into the end zone on a long run, he really has his arms in good working action where he can really move it as if he's in sprinter form. Now, anytime he feels danger, anytime he's around anybody, going through the line of scrimmage, we ask him to roll the ball forward in front of his breastplate, which removes the surface of the ball from the defender. So now, someone coming up from behind him can't poke it out. Someone trying to reach in has really no surface of the ball to grab. A linebacker coming straight on, if he gets his helmet on the ball's gone nowhere. So those are the two positions that we look for when we talk about ball technique with our backs. We use the term high and tight an awful lot with our backs. You do not want the ball down around your waist because you have very little strength in terms of controlling the football with your wrist down below your elbow. We want that wrist slightly above the elbow anytime you're carrying the football. The next basic point that I want to bring across is really how our backs take the ball, and it's pretty universal. It's pretty basic in terms of backs receiving footballs, but there are some things that we certainly emphasize. We really want our backs to have a high exaggerated pocket. So we really want the pocket up around their number area, not around the waist level, because it's certainly much easier for a back once he receives the ball at this height right here to then just tuck it in the areas that we want the ball tucked into. So I'm going to ask Brian to give me a high exaggerated pocket. I'm going to ask him to turn the palm out because that keeps the inside elbow up, which is what you want, because anytime the quarterback is putting the ball into that pocket right here, you don't want the elbow down, knocking the ball out as the quarterback's trying to put it in, or if he's faking to the running back as he's trying to pull it out, the ball being knocked out of your hand because of that inside elbow coming down. So turning the wrist slightly out helps with the elbow staying high. He's got that high exaggerated pocket, so as I hand the ball to him, notice he brought his bottom hand up softly to cover up on the ball. I can get my hand out of there, and now he's ready to put it in one of the two positions that we talked about in terms of good ball carrying technique. While we have Brian here, I want to talk to you a little bit about our I-back stance. It's really a basic stance in that you notice his feet are approximately shoulder width apart. He has his hands really on his thigh area, and notice he's not over-exaggerated in any one position. In other words, he's not down really low trying to hide behind the fullback or the line of scrimmage, or he's not standing up way too tall where he has trouble taking the first step. So from this position, it's a comfortable position. Now, if he was going to dive into the line on the right side of the line, he would drop his left foot very slightly and then go ahead, take a step, and then move forward in terms of any type of inside running play to his right. Anytime he's going to run to the left, he would drop the opposite foot and step again with that left foot coming into the line of scrimmage. Because of the stance and because of the fact that you're upright, it's necessary from the I-back spot at times when you're diving straight ahead to take that short drop step. But you notice how he's in a very comfortable stance. He can see everything that he needs to see ahead of him. He's not showing any type of direction with his stance, tipping off any kind of play. Okay, on the fullback stance, we have Corey here. We're going to ask him to get in a three-point stance. His feet, as you notice, are really no wider than shoulder width apart, which is not really customary for what fullbacks want to do. They normally want to take a wide base, but we keep their feet shoulder width apart. He goes ahead and puts his hand down. You notice there's slight pressure on the hand, but not real heavy pressure. Just enough if he picked it up, he would start a very slight falling forward. But he's got slight pressure on the hand. Now, we're going to ask him not to take any drop step, but to take a directional step. We always give aim points to our back. So if we're asking Corey, for instance, to hit the inside hip of the tackle, he's going to open up his hips and take a directional step with that first foot to put him on the proper path. Sometimes young backs really get in too wide of a stance. Go ahead, spread your feet out, Corey. And now, in order to make any kind of movement one direction or another, he almost has to bring the one foot in to get his balance and then take the step. So that's what we're working against, is that lost step that you have there if you have too wide a stance. And we want the fullback, because of the fact that we do a fair amount of audibling in our system, we want the fullback to be able to go any direction out of this stance. So he's not tipping off the play by changing his stance for the particular play that we've checked out of and gotten into. So there are several bag drills that we do at the start of each practice. I think the bag drills are good to get guys loosened up, but there's also a purpose for them in terms of technique. And what we're going to do is run you through those bag drills now. The first player through, Brian here, is going to go through 1 foot at a time. He's going to have high knees. Notice he's got a slight forward lean. He makes a quick cut on the defensive back and then accelerates up the field. All right, here we go with Mac. Again, little forward lean, Mac. That's it. Get the knees up as high as you can get them up. All right. Here you go, Corey. High knees. High as you can get them. That's it. Good, 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 good. Make the cut. Then he's right back up the field. All right, this time through the bags, we turn them facing one direction. Now again, they'll have high knees. Their shoulders will be in front of their hips. Good ball technique. Coming off of it, nice knees there. Coming off of it, you'll see him make a head and shoulder fake and then beat the defensive back on one side and then accelerate up the field. The next time through the bags, we have him face the opposite way. Here, Mac will come again with nice high knees. He'll square up and he'll use a spin move on the defensive back. Another bag drill that we use is what we call a stutter step, where the back has to really have good body control. We ask him to stutter in between the bags. That's good stutter. That's it, good. Makes a move, then he's up the field. The tendency is for a running back sometimes to really want to get his body moving faster than his feet, and this helps you with great control of your body. All right, this time through the bags, we're going to ask our players to go through with high knees facing one direction, but after 2 bags, they're going to plant, and they're going to turn their hips and shoulders, face the opposite direction with high knees. Again, a move, and accelerates. It's good to certainly work on your flexibility in terms of your hips. There's always times when you enter the line of scrimmage you have to make a quick cut where you have to open your hips up a little bit, get turned a little bit. The last drill we're going to show you using the bags lined up in this formation is what we call a shuffle drill. And Carp will plant on his outside foot as he shuffles through the bags. There's a lot of times when you hit the line of scrimmage that you have to make a real quick shuffle step in order to find the crease because the hole's closed up, and there you see Carp making that move and then accelerating up the field, making a cut. Those are the different bag drills that we use. We don't have to use all of them every day. We may break them up, use 3 one day, 3 the next, but we always start off practice off by using good bag drills. We're always interested in our backs having quick, light feet, so a drill that helps with that is what we call a jump drill. And you notice we have Corey get about a yard or so away from the bag, and what he's going to do now is jump over the bags with very quick, light feet and immediately go over the next bag until he's made it through all 4 bags. Okay, Corey. And then accelerates off of the last bag. That's it, good. We will add a what we call blast drill at the end of it, where we'll have 2 players with pushbacks where the back, after coming off the last bag on the jump drill, will have to lower his shoulders and go ahead, get down in a good blast angle here in order to get yards after contact. We use what we call a reaction cut drill, and this is a drill basically that's designed for when a back is going into the line of scrimmage and all of a sudden his aim point takes him to the hole, but the hole closes up. Now he has to shuffle in order to find the crease and then accelerate. And then, of course, a lot of times once you've gotten through the line of scrimmage, you have to deal with a backer that is sometimes scraping over the top. So what this drill is designed to do is to approach the bags at a normal running speed, okay, smooth to the hole is what we'll call it, and then the bags will go one direction or the other. We're expecting the back to cut opposite and then to get underneath the cone, which is placed about 6 or so yards behind the bags, as if getting underneath a scraping backer. All right, Corey, you ready? Notice these guys, after they react and make the quick shuffle, that they are really accelerating at the end of the drill and they're speeding through the hole. So the terminology we use is smooth to the hole, speed through the hole. This is a good drill for the inside zone running play because sometimes the back will have to take an onside crease. Sometimes the onside crease is not there. He has to shuffle his feet in order to hit a backside crease. After the bag drill, we like to put out about 5 or 6 cones and then go through a series of 3-step cuts, because really what we want our running backs to understand is that we're interested in quick up the field cuts from our running back, okay? It's not a situation where we're talking about shuffling, gone laterally, wasting time on cuts. They're all quick up the field cuts. And these are a lot of times used anytime you're going through the line of scrimmage, all of a sudden the hole closes up, you make a 3-step cut one direction, the linebacker's there, you've got to cut back the opposite direction. So we see this come into play an awful lot. There you see a nice job by Joel on the 3-step cut. That's it. Nice plant, hard plant on the outside foot, and then really driving. This gets in our players' minds that what we're interested in is being up the field runners with quick, sharp, hard cuts. Okay, after the bag drill and a 3-step cut drill, we go into what we call balance drill. We want to get our backs used to having their hand on the ground, understanding that the play is not over. We expect them to come up out of the play running. So Corey will take about 5 what we'll call balance drills, and then he'll come up out of there running. Okay, we'd like to show you this drill in slow motion because there is some technique involved. You notice his arm is coming right down from his shoulder. He's not overextended on it. We try to get the back leg up above the hip. And it's a good drill to really even start practice with in terms of stretching out your shoulder and hip area. He tries to roll the eyes up as much as he can so that his head's up as best he can get it up, and then after doing 5 again, he'll come up out of there running. Another drill that we'll occasionally have our backs do is what we call a will drill. The back will put his one hand down in between the bags, try to keep good ball technique as he spins around with both feet, going over each bag, He'll make a circle each way, then he'll come up out of there running, and then step over bags, make a quick cut at the end, and then accelerate up the field. So the two drills that we just showed you, the balance drill and the wheel drill, are really both drills that are designed to have the back with his hand on the ground, understanding that the play is not over, that we expect him to have the ability to come up off the ground and make a play out of it. Notice the ball is staying very close to the body. It's high and tight. As we come up out of there, step over the bags, make a quick hard cut right at the end, and then acceleration. As well as being great ball carriers, we expect our backs to be excellent receivers, and so we work a lot of pass receiving drills, certainly after practice, where we try to get them to catch a ton of balls. And really what we're asking them to do is to really zero in on the ball and the very point of the ball where the seams of the ball meet. As that is spiraling towards you, that will stick out to you, and you should really zero in on it and actually put your nose on the ball so that there's great concentration on it. And then, of course, after every catch, you want the ball tucked. Now, as we throw the ball here, we'll just start off with the back, just catching the ball in good football position, trying to put his nose on the ball, zeroing in on the laces, so they get good and used to really zeroing in on catching the football. You notice that after catching the ball, they're putting the ball away. Little movement on these drills because we're not interested in them running patterns. We're just trying to get a lot of throws to them. Now, what we'll end up doing is having the ball thrown in front of them and getting good football position, and they'll catch the ball as it's coming on a bounce. And what we're after there is really as the ball bounces and changes direction and changes angle, it's a great drill for concentration, making the back actually focus on the ball coming into his hands. This also comes into play in the option drill when the quarterback is pitching the ball to you on the option drill. You need to really get focused on the football. All right, another drill is one where we have the backs face the opposite direction of where we're throwing the ball from. This is simulating as if we're running a hook pattern where the back is released out of the backfield and is now hooking up. And in hooking up, he needs to get his head and shoulders and feet around very, very quickly in the final phase of the pattern, because there are times when the ball is in the air before the back has his head and shoulders and feet around. So in order to simulate that, we use this drill. In this drill, we're simulating the back running a flat pattern where he's catching a ball at a different angle, and now as he catches the ball, again, just like in all pass receiving drills, he'll catch the ball, turn upfield. And we'll operate this drill both ways, so we simulate running a flat pattern out to the right. We'll also simulate running a flat pattern to the left. So again, the back is catching the ball as if running here, a flat pattern to the left, and then catches it, tucks it, turns up the field. Okay, another drill that's really excellent for helping backs get their head and shoulders around is a drill that we'll run here now where they're stepping over a bag and coming around the bag at the same time while the ball's in the air, catching it, immediately dropping it because they got to get ready to catch the next one. Here we go, Mac. That's it, bad throw there, nice catch. Notice how he got his head around real quick. Very good, excellent. All right, we'll show you this drill one more time. We'll do it in slow motion for you so you get the idea of how the back needs to get his head and shoulders turned. It's also an excellent drill in terms of agility, and there are times when it's not going to be a smooth transition for you to catch the ball. You're going to have to be stepping over somebody. You're going to be knocked around a little bit. You're going to be pushed around by defensive backs, and so it's just a drill designed to make sure that you're able to catch the ball even while off balance. Sometimes we'll add a little fun to the drill. We'll ask the back to actually turn the opposite direction, twist the opposite direction that he does normally on the drill. Hut! That was good except for the last one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, as running backs, certainly you want to run to daylight, and any time you have an opportunity to make the big play, make someone miss, and make a 50, 60-yard run, that's what you're looking for. But as you know, throughout the course of a game, in most cases, contact is going to happen. It's going to be imminent, and when that does occur, we want to make sure that our backs are ready to go into contact and be able to get maximum yardage after going into contact. So anytime you find yourself pinned in along the sideline, and we'll say that this is the out-of-bounds line right here, we have a tackler coming at us from an angle right here where really we cannot now cut back on him because he has the cutback angle taken away. We're going to try to stay with the run up the sideline and get as much yardage out of the play as we can. We are not into running out of bounds. We are into turning back into the defensive man, striking and making contact into the defensive man, getting our pad level below his, and then trying to beat the man in terms of defeating the tackle, and then try to burst again up the field, and at the very minimum, make sure that we're getting yards after the tackle if he does bring us down. But it's all a matter of mentally being prepared to go into contact and really doing it instantaneously. There cannot be a lack of decision or hesitation in the decision. You've got to know when to make the quick cut. You've got to know when you're faced with one guy and go into what we'll call a lift drill, or when you're faced with more than one guy being involved in the tackle and go into what we will call the blast drill. We're going to have Corey come in and demonstrate one of these drills about 3/4 speed to you. All right, on the sound. Hut! That's it. All right, very good. You notice Corey brought his legs with him. You notice how he extended his arm out there at the very end of it in defeating the tackler. All right, pick it up just a little bit more on it now. Ready? Hut! That's it. Good, good. And you notice he's fairly square on him. You do not want to come off on an angle because really you're moving away from the tackler, and then he has all his force in order to make a great hit on you and bring you down without yards after contact. We'll switch it around here. Joe will execute the lift drill here for you. Hut! That's it. All right, very good. We talked to you a little bit about the back defeating the guy one-on-one, and that's really kind of what we look for, to make the big play, make the quick move, and go the distance. And then we talked to you about if he's faced with one defender, we'll expect him automatically to go into the lift drill if he cannot make a move on him and beat him. And then if he's got more than one tackler to deal with, then he'll go automatically to what we call the blast drill. In order to simulate that, we'll put two guys very close together with pushbacks here. They'll get somewhat low because we'll want the back to come in at a low angle, and he'll blast through. That's it. Good. You notice that he needs to have a good running angle with his shoulders out in front of his hips. You always want to keep your head up in any type of football drill that you do, whether you're talking about a tackling drill, a blocking drill, a running technique drill. You want good football position. Now, of course, normally the defenders aren't standing right next to one another. Usually you'll have a defender here and one coming in from the side, and you'll have a bigger area to split. But we put them closer together just so the back will get the feel of needing to accelerate and burst through. And then if he cannot make it through, what we then ask the back to do is to get in a tight spin. That's it, and get up the field. That was a very good job there. You notice that he gave great effort at trying to split the two, and when that didn't happen, he gets into a tight spin. In order to be a complete back, certainly you've got to do things other than be a great ball carrier. And we worked on pass receiving drills. There are drills that we take our running backs through as far as blocking drills, and we expect them when they come out of our system to be great blockers. And in all actuality, we've been able to accomplish that, and when they've moved on, those that have to another level, they've been able to execute blocks the way they're supposed to be executed. But in any case, if I'm a fullback and I'm going to be attacking a linebacker, the thing that I'm interested in doing is coming at him in a regular running position. And I'm going to execute what I call an attack block. The ball carrier is going to be directly behind me. I want to try to get my pad level below the tackler's pad level. I want to try to come up in a striking action right here, where you notice I'm striking with my hands, my fist, whatever you want to strike with first, keeping my elbows in tight with a good punching action right here. Notice that my shoulders are in front of my hips, and my hips are in front of my feet, and I'm really coming off of one foot, and as I strike, what I want to do is exaggerate high knees as I'm coming through. I do not want to throw my hips into the block, because really what happens as you throw your hips into the block, you stand tall. Now his pad level is below yours. He gets his hands on you, and he controls you. The idea is you to eliminate him from the play with really good technique, striking, and then as you step through, you can bring your hips with you. We get the backs at close quarters here, And then we'll ask Corey in a three-point stance to come up out of his stance and to use an attack block on the linebacker. All right, notice the good punch. Notice him follow through and bring his feet with him. That's really important in the block. You need to have a good blocking angle. You need to keep your pad level down. That's excellent technique. We'll switch it around now. We'll have Joel take a couple attack blocks for you with Corey being the defender. We always have the blocker in a three-point stance, the guy that's being blocked in a two-point stance. Nice job of striking there, and really it's important to have your elbows in tight and to lead with your hands or fist, because you do not want to wind up. You notice how he did not have any kind of wind-up action. If you wind up with your arms, the defender will get his hands on you before you can get your hands on him, and then he's controlled you. After we've executed the attack block and given our players some reps on the attack block, we execute what we call an attack and adjust. It's one thing to be able to block a linebacker if he's just standing there waiting for you, but that's not what happens in a lot of cases. Sometimes the tackle will slant, the linebacker will scrape off of him, and so as you're coming at your aim point and the linebacker scrapes, you have to then adjust your angle of attack and then execute the attack block in the same manner that you would if you're executing just the attack block alone. But you do have to change your angle. All right, here you see an attack and adjust. Really a nice job done there by Corey. Good quick feet. He has to get a linebacker that's on the move. Let's go ahead and do it again here, fellas. Nice job. That's it. Nice job. Make sure you keep your hat out of the play. Use your fist or hands. Another block that we asked our backs to perform is a pass pro block. And on a pass pro block, it's different than an attack block in that you don't have to go meet the man to block him. He's going to come to you. He has to get through you in order to get to the quarterback. And you need to know, as a pass pro blocker, exactly where the quarterback is going to be positioned. And what you want to do is try to get as much separation from yourself and the quarterback as the rusher allows you to get. And try to get your back focused on the spot where the quarterback is throwing from. And then the actual block itself is very much like the attack block, except we don't have one foot in front of the other. We have both feet parallel, but we are striking out here with our hands. And we're trying to keep our elbows in tight, and as we strike him, try to control him. If he spins out away from us in the direction that he spins, kind of give a little ground with that hand and that foot, and then get right back on him and control him as he spins out. The drill that we use for our backs in order for them to get used to striking the defensive man and controlling him a little bit is what we call a one-on-one pass pro drill. We'll set a cone in back of him about 7 yards or so that would indicate where the quarterback is throwing from. Now what we'll ask of the blocker right here is to go ahead with his hands to keep good football position and strike the defender. We're going to ask the defender to keep working back and forth within the two cones here. Try to get his hands on the pass pro blocker, push him, shove him a little bit, because defenders will do that. They'll come into you, they'll get their hands on you, they'll try to control you, so you got to get used to that. We'll show you what we're all about in this drill. All right, on my sound. Hut! That's it, good, good. Notice he's controlling him. Hut! That's it, good, good job, good job. On the final hut, what we did is then ask the defender to go ahead and try to break up field to the quarterback, so that now the back, after he's been in between the two cones and has gotten used to striking, and on the final hut, the defender breaks up the field one side or the other. That gets the back used to getting his hands on him and trying to ride him out around the quarterback. Hut! That's it. Real good job of riding him out around. Nice technique there. And when you run a multiple offense, you want to make sure that your backs are used to receiving handoffs, pitches in different manners. Sometimes a pitch on an option play, sometimes a pitch on just a toss type of play where you're pitching the ball directly to the back on the snap. I believe that in terms of a warm-up for a game, just getting the ball and pitching it to your backs, your eye backs in pregame so that they're used to following the ball in, getting it tucked is really a good warm-up for a game. It really gets them conditioned to zeroing in on the ball, getting it put in place. Okay, let's just go 41 pitch. All right, on the sound. Ready? Hut! Carp, were you looking that ball in? Sometimes backs are so conditioned to catching pitches that they catch it without really zeroing in on looking it in. So we'll have Mac here show you the right way. Hut! That's a good job, Mac. We'll show you a handoff. We talked to you about handoff technique earlier, where we want the exaggerated pocket, we want the high handoff. We'll have the backs just come through in a straight line, receiving a handoff on a dive play. All right, on the sound. Hut! Pocket should be really exaggerated. The handoff should be coming up around the number area. Hut! Don't clamp down on the ball. Bring the bottom hand up to the top elbow. Hut! All right, good job. I'd like to just take a moment to thank the players that came out here today to help us demonstrate the drills for you. They've all been tremendous players in our system. The thing that we like about it is, you know, they come back to see us. Once they graduate, once they move on, we still hear from them, and that's always great to be able to get your players back. Thanks for joining me here in our video room, where we'll take a look at some of the great running backs in the history of Nebraska. We've been very fortunate in that over the last 20 years, we've had 18 players who have gained 1,000 yards or more, and really, as you look around the country, that's unprecedented, and that's unusual, and a couple things enter into that. One is certainly the fact that they've been very, very talented athletes that we've had to work with, and also, along with having the talent, our system has really utilized the talents of running backs, and so it's worked both ways. Let's go ahead and turn out the light and take a look at some of our great backs. We'll start off here with one of the running backs that came to us from out of the state of Nebraska as a walk-on, and of course we've got a tremendous walk-on program. A young man by the name of I.M. Hipp was truly a very versatile athlete for us, a great dedicated guy in the weight room. Here you see as he heads up the field right here, uses blockers very, very well, dips to the outside, and then, as a lot of great backs do, they don't waste time and shuffle along the sideline. They get themselves right up the field, and I think that's tremendously important. There you see him lower his shoulder and get all he can at the end of the run when he knows contact is imminent. Jarvis Redwine here takes a pitch, and it's really a sprint option where he has the fullback leading him on the play. We're optioning off the end, and Jarvis's speed shows right here as he just outruns the linebacker right here, who does scrape and tries to take the angle to get to him. Fullback bypassed the linebacker, and then of course Jarvis again outruns another angle right here. So sometimes there's no real replacement for just great speed, and of course Jarvis had that. What he does right here is really not appropriate, and Jarvis knew that, and afterwards felt badly about it and never did it again in his career, and had not done it prior to that. Here you see him again having pretty good ball technique at the end of this run, because you can see players coming in, grabbing, trying to strip the ball, and here he tries to use his free hand, which is very important anytime you are carrying the ball, either to deliver a lift like we showed you in some of the drills, or to try to stiff arm a guy. Roger Craig, tremendous player for us, tremendous player in the pro ranks, did it all for us as well as the pros, a great running back, but also a great receiver. And Roger had a unique style about him in that he had excellent vision and had the ability to get yards after contact, but also when it came to dealing with people in the open field, had the ability to make people miss. And here you see him just slide to the outside and then head right back up the field again, and then show great speed and outrunning the defenders here into the end zone on another great long run. And that's the kind of backs you're looking for, the guys that can get the tough yards, but also the guys that can make the big play and take it the distance. Here you again see him, he has great knee action. He's able to get his knees up high when he runs, and there you can see at the end of the run, guy that takes great care of the ball with contact as good as it was right there. He came out of the contact gaining about 2 or 3 yards after it. Here you see his explosiveness and his toughness, his high knees, all helped in terms of gaining yards and making a great play there. Mike Rozier, a Census All-American, Heisman winner for us, had terrific vision. Here you see him take a pitch, and was a guy that instinctively, when any time a play broke down right at the line of scrimmage and it didn't work quite the way you wanted it to, when he had someone in his face, instinctively would react, and usually something good would come out of it. Here you see Mike against UCLA in a play that, where he had to reverse his field in order to put it in. Now, typically, you got to be very careful, because here, if you don't have Mike's ability or ability similar to this, you reverse your field, you got a defense that has great speed, you end up losing 6, 7, 8 yards. But Mike is able to take what is really probably a play that would gain 0 yards and turn it into a score for you. And he was able to do that consistently throughout out his career. It was just a great job of knowing the play and knowing what your blockers are out in front of you for and what they're going to do. And notice how well he utilizes his blockers there. He gets a kick out there by the guard. The pulling tackle then turns up, and Mike really sets the block up well and dips to the crease right here away from the defender that's unblocked. And what looks like a play that at this point in time is going to be stopped ends up being a great play for us along the sideline where he gains maximum yardage. One thing that you always want to do, we did work the lift drill a little bit with you, and notice how Mike is pinned in on the sideline, and now he's turning back into the defender. Rather than allow the defender at this point right here to come in and make great contact on you and possibly cause the ball to come out, Mike turns back into the defender. That way he's protecting the ball and is going to get maximum yardage along the sideline. One thing that he may have done here a little different is tried to give himself a little bit more room on the sideline, so that when he initiates his contact, you notice he does defeat the defender, but really is stopped by the out-of-bounds line. So if he'd just given himself a little bit more room on the out-of-bounds line, probably could have taken that into the end zone. Tom Rathman was a great fullback for us, tremendous blocker, but also a guy that could break the 60, 70-yard run for us. Here you just see him take an inside handoff, see that everything was jammed up inside, and then busted it broke it to the outside in order to very easily take it into the end zone. And for a fullback, had outstanding speed and really had tremendous hands. Many of you know he played for the 49ers, and here he shows his ability to come out of the backfield and use his great hands to bring in a pass from Joe Montana and make really a great individual play right here by reaching back for the ball. Notice the eyes follow the ball all the way in, brings it to his chest, and then immediately again gets turned upfield. And of course, anytime you get down near the goal line, you have a back like Tom Rathman. He's the kind of guy you want to give it to. The footage you see here against the Broncos is from a Super Bowl game where Tom Rathman, of course, as you see, played in here, did a tremendous job. But also he's with Roger Craig. He was in the same backfield with him. So really two backs from Nebraska playing in the Super Bowl at the same time, rather unique. Doug DuBose, very fluid type runner, and I guess that word probably best describes his ability. But he was also a back that had great vision and instincts, and here you see, along with that, very good speed. Notice here at the end, in outrunning someone, he's ready to use his free hand in order to ward off the guy. You always want to try to do that to protect your legs, because people are going to try to come in low, so either use your free hand to ward him off with a stiff arm or try to turn back into him with a lift. Here's another speed back for us, Keith Jones, and here's where you see great acceleration. Keith has patience right here. It's a counter play where both the backside guard and tackle pull, and if you notice here, he's really running very controlled right here. Sets up the blocks, knows what's going to happen, and once he sets up those blocks, accelerates through the crease right in here to really make a difference on a play. The average back really gets pinned in by these two guys and gets tackled right here, but Keith is able to split him and then also outrun an angle on a defender right here in order to put this one into the end zone. makes a play look very easy that was not all that easy to put into the end zone. Brian Carpenter, who was used in the demonstration of some of the drills that we did show you, was a fullback that was undersized, only around 205 pounds, but tremendously tough football player. So he did the blocking chores at 205 pounds, but also was an excellent runner. Guy with agility, quickness at the fullback spot, can also be used on screens. Here's a screen play where you see Brian does an outstanding job right here, giving a head fake, drawing number 99 to the sideline, making him think that you're going to take it right up the sideline. He dips inside and then, of course, outruns a few angles right here, which not a lot of fullbacks can do, and again puts the ball into the end zone. We have basically a pitch play right here, and I want you to notice this is Brian again at the fullback spot and just using what we call cut block technique on a linebacker right here, which helps Ken Clark now at I-back for us on this play right here. Ken had a unique ability to just ward off people. Did not have great speed, but had the ability to make people miss and had the great vision to know where people were coming from and not to allow them to have the great angles. Here you see just a instant cutback. It's a play where he starts off onside and then just makes the quick cutback and blasts through two defenders right there. The blast drill was a drill that we showed you earlier, and there you saw it in play with Ken Clark. This is Derek Brown here taking the handoff on an isolation play right up the middle, gets good blocking at the line of scrimmage, and then as he gets into the secondary here, gets somebody that gets a hand on him initially, but you notice he has great balance, and that's the one thing that I remember Derek as having, the great balance and the toughness. He was not a tremendously big back, but yet he was a very, very strong physical running back with great toughness. Here again, another inside running play with him, and makes some quick cuts, uses his blocker very, very well in order to put the ball in the end zone. Calvin Jones here against Kansas really had an outstanding day, and here you see him taking a pitch and just using some acceleration to burst through here, but then at the end of the run right here, very, very good feet in order to make the guy miss in the open field, and then of course uses good speed in order to put the ball again in the end zone. So you're seeing a lot of runs that are not only good 10, 15, 20-yard runs, but you're seeing runs that are 60, 70-yard runs where backs put the ball in the end zone. And of course, that's what you want. You want the guy that's able to go the distance for you. As I mentioned, Calvin had a great game against Kansas. Actually ended up with 294 yards, which is still a Nebraska record. This is Corey Schlesinger now at the fullback spot for us, and Corey was in the drills demonstrating them for you, and here we're going to show you his 2 touchdowns in the national championship game against Miami. He's really a physical player, but also a very instinctive player. We use them a lot on quick traps, both up the middle and off tackle. Lawrence Phillips was an outstanding player for us at Nebraska during his time here, and here you see his ability to be an excellent pass receiver, to really look the ball in on a screen play, tuck it away, get the ball in the outside arm, which is really critical for backs, not to have the ball on the inside arm like this where all the pursuit is coming and then that ball is vulnerable to be knocked out of there. You have it in the outside arm. Now he's able to use the free arm here to ward off anybody coming from the outside. This is really an inside zone running play where Lawrence slides to the outside, and I guess one of the things that best characterized his running ability was the fact that when he's headed up the field, he had the kind of vision where he could see what was happening at the sides and was able to react to that and make the instant cut to the sideline, and then after he did that, take it right back up the field, make the great quick head and shoulder fake that he does right here, and then ward off a guy with his inside arm, and then accelerate in order to make the big play. This is truly a great run that shows an awful lot of talent and skill. We'll just let the thing go for you at full speed right there without stopping and running back and forth, so you can really appreciate how good a run that was. Notice the patience here by Ahman Green. Ahman really in 1997 gained 1,877 yards for us, which is the second best single season ever at Nebraska, and Ahman had a career record of 3,880 yards. Here you see on a counter sweep play, as I mentioned, the great patience and yet the ability and upper body strength to ward off guys that make that kind of contact with you on the sideline and just take it up the field. Again, Ahman, who has good vision, and notice the quickness and the instinctiveness of the cuts. Good running backs, they make the quick instant cut and then get right back up the field again. Of course, Joel Makovica was a tremendous fullback for us, did it all, was a very good pass receiver out of the backfield, an outstanding blocker, and a tremendous ball carrier for us. Great, powerful leg drive. Here I think that will be evident. You can see the great balance and toughness of Joel right here, taking that solid hit, continuing on up the field, fighting off people right at the end of this run, continuing to keep the great balance, never going down, great effort player all the time, truly an outstanding run, and that was that type of effort was typical not only of Joel Makovica, but of the great running backs that we've had here at Nebraska. They've always been guys with great talent, but they work tremendously hard in the off-season. They've worked tremendously hard during the season to perfect their talents, and that is always showed on the football field for them. Football is a great game, and it parallels life in many ways. We've talked about work habits to a degree, but work habits will certainly play a major role in what you get done on the football field. It'll play a major role in what you get done in your life after football. And as we look at guys that are able to get up on a daily basis every morning and prepare to get things done in a very high and efficient manner, those are the guys that are successful in life no matter what they're doing. So certainly you can outwork people. You can do it on the football field. You can do it off the football field. As we look at developing leadership, as far as leaders in our program, when it's done is during the off season, because that's a time when really the excitement, the drive of the game is not there. The games are far away from the present time, and so it takes a lot of energy, a lot of drive, a lot of talking yourself into getting up and getting it done on a regular routine in the off season. But that's where your leaders start to develop and start to show in your football team, because those are the guys that not only push themselves at that given time, but also push their teammates to make them better football players. So we feel the off season is a tremendously important time to making an individual better and to also making a football team better. I really admire the enthusiasm of young kids. I think it's tremendous. They want to be the best they can be. They want to learn. They are open to your direction and helping them be the best that they can be. And that enthusiasm is catching. That enthusiasm, I think, can catch on in terms of yourself as a coach, your staff, to where it's a very exciting and entertaining game. I feel fortunate in that I've really been able to coach not only on the college level here at Nebraska, but also on the high school level. In fact, I have 13 years of high school coaching experience, and so I understand that regardless of the level that you're coaching on, the commitment that it takes to be the best that you can be in coaching. And certainly, as I look around our state here in Nebraska and certainly the bordering states and really around the country, what I see are tremendously devoted coaches to making sure that they are doing what it takes to help individuals become better players, to help individuals become better men as they go through life. And certainly that's much more important than probably just the outright wins that you're able to produce over the years. So I admire the people that are in the coaching profession. I think their drive, certainly their commitment, their work ethic, their helping young people be the best that they can be is, I think, admirable. As I look at the history of Nebraska football, it's really been built on winning one game at a time. We have not really set rivals. We know that every game is important, so we approach every football game that way. And when you do that, I think it makes your football players and your football team understand that they cannot just point for an occasional game or they cannot point for a rival. They need to get ready for every football game, and certainly, that's a part of it that I think is a challenge for every coach, to be able to prepare week after week and do what it takes to cover all the bases to have your football team ready to step on the field well prepared every week. The emotional pregame speech in the long run doesn't play out in terms of winning in a consistent manner. And so our approach is to make sure that we prepare very, very thoroughly. Our approach is to make sure that we put a confident football team on the field, one that believes that every time they step on the field that they will win a football game. With that in mind, we're not big on pregame talks to the point where we're trying to get our players emotionally ready to step on the field and play a game, because that emotion doesn't last very long once you're out on the field. What you need to do is to make sure that they have really a sense of where they're at in terms of being well prepared for this football game, that they're a confident football team, that you have a football team that steps on the field expecting to win every time that they step on the football field. And in the last few moments leading up to the game, you're just reminding them of how well prepared they are, of how well they're ready to execute, and exactly how well this game is going to go because of all the work that's led into getting ready to play this game. I think that's certainly a key to being consistent in football. Sometimes as you go through the coaching profession, there's so much work involved, there's so much detail involved that if you're not careful, you let the moments slide by that really should be tremendously enjoyable for you, should be tremendously enjoyable for your staff, and without question tremendously enjoyable for your football teams and football players. And I guess the one thing that I want to make sure our players understand is that it's okay to show your emotion. It's okay when you've just had a tremendous win and you know that everybody on that football team did what it took in order to be successful, and to let one another know that, to put an arm around one another and congratulate one another on the job that has just been accomplished. And on the other side of that, when things don't go well, I think the same thing holds true. I think you still take care of one another. You still look after one another. You still maybe put your arm around one another and indicate that we're at a point where we move forward from here and we just start to make it work the next go around. And so it's a tremendously emotional game, and without question, it should be that way, I think, for players. It should be that way for coaches. You should enjoy what you're doing to the point where you can show it. As has been noted, we certainly feel good about the fact that we've been able to win 3 national championships in the 90s, and that's without question what every team strives for. They want to be the best that they can be, and with hopes that in being the best that you can be, you're going to win a national championship. Certainly there has to be a number of factors that go into getting into the national championship game and having a chance to win it. You have to have some things go right for you without question. You got to make sure that that if you have that you don't have too many injuries, because that certainly can lead you down a path that makes it difficult for your team to win a national championship. The ball needs to maybe bounce right a time or two throughout the course of the season. But in the end, when you add it up, if you've prepared as well as youth can prepare, both mentally and physically. If you have a team that cares about one another, they're willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to propel the team forward, then you have a chance of winning a championship. And regardless of whether you're talking about a conference championship or a state championship at the high school level, or a national championship at the college level, or a Super Bowl win, the feeling is the same, regardless of what level that win comes on, and the preparation to a large extent is the same, regardless of what level that win comes on. And so I think certainly coaches should be congratulated for what they have done in terms of their work ethic and what they do in terms of helping young people move forward. In closing, I'd like to thank you again for the opportunity to be part of this series and to be involved with such great coaches that really are proven coaches for a long period of time. It's an honor for me to even be associated with those guys, and certainly the best of luck to you as coaches, to you as a player. Hope that things go well for you and that your season is as enjoyable and as successful as you would like it to be.